In Unstable Build 42.17, they added new VHS tapes to fill out pretty much every crafting skill. You can find them in VHS stores, unlike the incredibly rare home VHS tapes that already existed in this category. This addition could completely change how you want to build your character and level your skills, which is why I want to discuss it while it's fresh in my head. This is particularly important in multiplayer, but I'll talk about that last. Build 42 started as the crafting update, but one issue plagues it. There is a lot of crafting material out there that you can't use at level 0 in a skill. In fact, leveling up starting from level 0 is often limited to a few boring recipes. The crafting system lacks the natural flow that solely grinds the skill for you. It's not properly integrated with the gameplay. For most skills, this ends in pure pointless item spam. The VHS tape edition can fix that for you, assuming you are willing to go find them. Not every starting town has a VHS store. By default, VHS tapes are only effective up to level 3, so you do want to use them early in your skill progression. These new VHS tapes grant you 75 base XP in a skill, more if they happen to train 2 skills. You only need 75 XP to reach level 1 in a skill, completely skipping the level 0 grind without requiring a boost. On the other hand, if you do take the time to read the relevant skill book, you'll reach level 2 in your skill. This leads to some very interesting decisions to be made with your build. For example, most of us dread the level 1 electrical grind to hotwire cars. Now we can just skip it. The combinations can go deeper if you want. The inventive trait reduces the required level to auto-learn a recipe by 1. Generally, you would not use this trait if you expect you could find recipe magazines. The recipe to connect generators is automatically learned at level 3 electrical. If you combo the skill book and trait with the VHS tape, you can use generators at level 2 without finding the generator magazine or grinding your skill up. You know, that magazine that drives people crazy when they search entire towns without finding it? Yeah, that one. The change also takes a little bit of trait point pressure off of our builds. With a little early game looting, maybe you don't need Fast Learner anymore or any of the other cheap traits you take to just start with a skill point. Invest in your strength or fitness instead. Wait, do you dare get rid of that one annoying negative trait you justify by saying it's worth it for the extra points? Now's your chance. Then there is the exploration aspect. VHS stores are fairly spread out on the map, and you are unlikely to get everything you want from a single store. There's a similar situation going on with the skill books in bookstores. I know a ton of you spawn in Rosewood, loot the whole town, and then restart without ever exploring the map. Rosewood doesn't have a VHS store. This is your carrot on a stick to go exploring before you settle down into that base building loop. Maybe you'll even find a random event or two along the way, I promise. The roadside survivor zombies are worth finding. Finally, we get to multiplayer. One of the notable changes that came with Build 42 Unstable was the removal of experience gained from dismantling for most skills. In single player, many players hate this change as it's something they were used to doing. The habit carries over into multiplayer, where many players would die and then start dismantling everything for carpentry experience. After a couple of weeks of this, the starting towns of servers would be filled with empty husks, as everything inside had been eaten by termites. I remind you that long-term vanilla servers rely on loot respawning. Without any containers for it to respawn, no loot would ever respawn again. Since the new player experience on those servers sucks, the server dies off within a few months. One of the Indie Stone's goals for Build 42 is allow for long-term vanilla servers, and they need to design the game in such a way that discourages long-term destruction of gameplay, which is something someone playing single player does not care about. Players are already inherently greedy. They don't also need a gameplay mechanic guiding them towards destroying servers. The addition is a puzzle piece that's one step towards solving the problem. Now, when players die, they can read their books and watch the tapes to get to level 2 in any crafting skill they want instead of eating the world like the locusts they are. There is one downside to this addition. It may feel necessary to loot the VHS tapes every time you start a new single player save. They're just too powerful. To that, I say who cares? If you don't feel like it, then don't do it. Free will is a gift, you just have to open it.